everybody come to the car as a stranger. So, but as it turns out, most people are pretty friendly. So I get my content quite easily.
Welcome to the One Day at a Time podcast, where we take things one day at a time. Today in the studio, we have Maverick, otherwise
Hello.
known as Ubergrapher.
Yes.
Hey, Maverick, can you do a quick introduction about yourself?
Hi, I'm Maverick, the Ubergrapher. I've been doing this project for the last 8 years. Yeah.
I sort of found out who you are because I have had friends and like we have clients here that have taken your Uber, like your car before, and like your name sort of keep popping up, and I'm like, wow, this interesting guy, you know, like he drives a Grab and then he takes photos of people. So I went to see your Instagram page. I thought you were very cool lah. But I have a very, very interesting, a burning question for you. Is your Instagram handle Ubergrapher because you started driving Uber instead of Grab?
Of course. I mean, way back in the early days of private hire, Uber was the number one actually. And I also started my journey driving with the app. And the year was actually 2015.
Wow.
2015. So this is like my 9th year of driving private hire.
Wow.
Right. I kept the name actually because a lot of people ask me why never change after I go to other app.
Right.
I say that first of all, it sounds nicer. Secondly, I do many other apps. It doesn't make sense to keep changing. So the name has been stay the same. And which is I think so far so good.
So how did this idea of like taking portraits of your passengers come about?
As I said to other people as well, when I started driving, I find that driving can be quite boring. It's quite monotonous. And I have an hobby in photography since young. So actually when I started driving, I bought myself a new camera, a new DSLR. So I left it in the car, and the original plan was to take pictures when I drive around, which are buildings and trees and sceneries or sunsets. But there was one fine day where two passengers, in the old day, there was such thing called Uber pool. So the two-person Uber pool, the ride, go back to Yishun, I think. And at the end of the journey, I asked them whether they mind being photographed. And to my surprise, they say, no problem. And that's where I realized that people are not camera shy. So I decided to try my luck with other passengers. And as it turns out, a majority of passengers are quite receptive to the concept. Yeah, so that's how I start the account. I mean, it's more like almost like me having a diary of people that I meet with interesting stories. So that was 8 years ago, and now I got 3,000 over stories on my Instagram.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. So, just now off camera, we were also chatting, and you said actually you run some businesses, you have run some startups before. So, what kind of prompted you to drive a private hire?
At the time, almost 9 years ago, I was scrapping my old car. So I wanted to continue having a car. So in Singapore, car is very expensive. So I realized that maybe I can pay the car by driving. So that was the original plan. I mean, some people don't mind taking public transport and they're okay with that. But some people like me, die hard, want to have a car. So how to afford it? Then you start thinking of how to make money out of it. So I discovered that driving can make money. And also at the time, by the way, the driver incentive was very good. So it was quite easy to make money to cover the cost of the car.
Right.
But as I start doing that, I realized that I'm quite okay with driving in general, and I can do long hour driving, which means I can make even more money than covering the cost of the car. So that's where I push myself, and then so I've been doing that. Actually, I do that daily without any rest for the last 8 to 9 years already.
Wow, so 7 days a week for the last 8 to 9 years.
I mean, to me, it's actually a routine rather than a job.
How long do you drive a day?
Averagely 9 hours. Of course, on a weekday, like Monday, Tuesday is much lesser. But on a weekend, it can be more because the demand is very high, especially on Sunday. It is like you can do as much as 10 or 11 hours.
I
But you
see.
are okay with that because every hour you drive, there's money coming in.
Mm.
So that's the main motivation for people like me to keep on driving. And of course, meeting many nice people in the process.
Wow, I mean, I saw on your Instagram bio, and just now you also shared that you're working on a startup. You're still like running your startup.
Yes, my background is actually computer engineering way back in the day. And I always thought of thinking outside the box in terms of opportunities in certain trade or industries. So I was looking at the property industry and I was thinking that the current offerings by other property portals have a lot of room for improvements. So that thought has been in my mind for quite a few years. But last 2 years, because of the advancement of AI, I felt that it is a good time and also opportunity to start something to offer people an option to conduct this property search or even selling, right? So because nowadays when you go to any other property portals, usually involve too many humans, right? So I'm trying to use technology to offer another options for people to choose lah. I mean, no different from private hire situation. Before private hire apps come out, people only rely on street hailing. So with the technology, people can sit at home and start calling for rides. So people need to be presented with a solution before they realize that that's actually a better way of doing things.
Wow. So if you're driving like 9 hours a day, where do you find time to work on your startup?
Well, as I say, it's a startup, so it is still not fully grown. I'm still in the midst of developing the different pieces of the platform. By the way, it's called cashout.com.sg. It is live, it is working, but there's still a lot of room for development. So, and also, of course, the most important thing about startup is about funding and team. So I'm trying to raise money at the same time trying to find the right people to join the team. So in the meantime, I still do my driving because it's the most simple way to kill my time in a way. But at the same time, of course, the time that I spend driving also have returns in terms of the money that I collect from everybody.
Well, so far, like you've been driving for almost 9 years. What do you think is the most enjoyable thing about what you do?
Besides taking money from everybody,
Yes.
it is really the freedom of able to do, or rather to go anywhere you want because you have a car. And because of the many passengers that you meet, you have a opportunity to go to places that you never have a reason to. So that broadens my geography of Singapore. But also because of the many type of people that I meet, I also broaden my view about many subjects. Because there's always some conversation during those trips that I learn something from them.
I see.
So that part is quite interesting. Well, that's as I said, this is a routine. So it's almost like people go jogging every day, go gym every day, and in my case, it's driving every day. And the difference is that I'm making money out of it.
Well, what do you think is the thing that you dislike the most about driving?
Dislike. Of course, because of the nature of how you make money from driving, you need to clock in the hours, right? So I told you that on the average, I need to do 9 hours. You cannot say that I don't want to do 9 hours, I just want to do 2 hours. I mean, technically you can do that, but you cannot be making money if you just do that. So on one hand, it is a lot of freedom. On the other hand, you're also stuck if you want to make certain amount of money every month. So that is a constraint that I prefer. I mean, everybody also prefer easier way to make money, but it's no different like hawker store. They have to put in the hours. In fact, they are more tough than me because they have to prepare the food and they are working in a non-aircon condition. So it's a different scenario. So I would say that it's about having to do the hours is something which I think is not everybody can handle it.
Yeah.
A lot of private hire driver, they drop out after a while because they
Physically tiring lah.
physically tiring is one thing, but also the money that they earn may not be meeting their expectation because the cost can be high if you rent a car.
Right.
And if you don't rent a hybrid car, the petrol prices is quite high. And of course, you need to be patient. You need to have a good skill in terms of don't get into accidents. And also you need to be familiar with the routes. Otherwise, you'll be spending too much time in the jam. So this kind of trade skills that the driver need to possess in order to enjoy their time doing this kind of task. Whereas I can imagine quite a few drivers will be quite frustrated because a lot of time you want to make good money is during the peak hour, but peak hour always mean a lot of jam. So you might be frustrated that you're always stuck in the jam, like Orchard Jam or other places. So
Right.
So this is also about some mental discipline.
Yeah.
In doing this thing.
Yeah. Do you ask every single passenger for a photo?
No, of course not. Of course not. First of all, by now I have a certain experience about who is willing to engage in a conversation. Of course, I start out with a small talk when you come to the car, right? Yeah, but from there, you roughly can tell whether people are open to talking to you.
Right.
But even if they don't, which is perfectly fine, because in a short while they'll be out of the car, and then I will be meeting the next nice person. Yeah, but many times you meet very nice people, and they are also very chatty and friendly. So that is where I can get them to start talking, and many times it become the other way around, that they talk too much or they give me too much information about themselves. So it's quite interesting that I come to that stage.
Yeah.
And because of the big number of trips I have done over the last almost 9 years, I've done 60,000 trips. So that's a big number, right?
Yes.
So that's represent the big variety of type of people I met, right? So even if you say that you talk to only 20% of those trips, then there's a lot of conversation happen in the car.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure the other private hire driver also have the same thing in terms of chatting with the passengers, but the difference is that I'm the only one who documented it. So that makes it unique. And interestingly, so far, there's no copycat after so many years.
Probably not easy to do also. Not every private hire driver has a skill set or interest in photography, maybe.
Yeah, it can be all those things, and you must be thick-skinned enough to even chat with the passenger, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody come to the car as a stranger, so it just depends. But as it turns out, most people are pretty friendly. Yeah, so I get my content quite easily. Yeah.
You've been at it for like 9 years. How long do you think you will be doing this for?
There's no time limit to me because the demand for private hire is always there.
Yep.
There's always friendly passengers roaming around. And as long as I'm doing the driving, I can always meet people who are willing to talk to me and share their experience. And of course, now I told you that I'm also involved in a startup.
Yep.
But this driving thing is my routine. Even if I get more busy with the startup, I think I will still be doing the private hire driving simply because I need to cover cost of the car.
Right. Maybe reduce hours, like if you get more busy.
Of course. If it's reduce hours and all these things. Yeah. So let's see, because now both are in concurrent happening. So
I think there is sometimes like people have a misconcept, or people judge drivers, whether it's private hires or bus drivers, and like for you evidently have a lot of skill sets and valuable skill sets, like taking photos, portraits, and being coming from a computer engineering background, which is quite handsomely paid in certain seasons and certain times. What do you think is the thing that kind of motivates you to go and be a private hire driver, as spend so much time being a private hire driver and not utilize some of the other skill sets on a full-time basis?
I mean, I told you that I thought of, or rather, I have the dream of having my own photo studio, making money from taking pictures for people. But in Singapore, everything you try to do also very competitive, right? And it all boils down to how you can get your customers paying you money, right?
Yep.
So for other kind of skill that I may have, I may not have gotten that level where I can easily find paying customers. Whereas in the case of the private hire, you just need to know how to drive. You need to know how to operate the app. Then the demand is always there. So to me, maybe it's a lazy way of getting money, because I mean the demand for transport is so high that you cannot cover it on your own. In fact, there are tens of thousands of drivers every day on the road. Right. So to me, this is the easiest way to have a steady income to pay for the car, and also extra money to pay the bill and those kind of things. And it's also because of my personality, right? Because I'm not used to working as an employee all this while. So it's always my so-called preference to do something my own, but it can be small business like driving. So to me, driving is also a business, right?
Yes.
So compared to working for a big IT company,
right,
this is something I prefer because of flexibility and freedom. Yeah, and this is what I've chosen the path lah. Of course, if I can utilize my IT knowledge in terms of maybe like coming out with an IT service company, or software outsource company, that would be maybe good prospect in terms of revenue and business and profit. But again, you must boil down to cost and how you can get your client consistently. So that requires investment. It requires a team. So neither of which I'm prepared to have, or I don't have. So this is the easiest way. Almost like a one-man thing, right?
Right.
One-man band, and just do my small business. And especially for the driving part, it has been proven working for the last almost 9 years.
Wow.
So that is almost like a basic income situation. So now I'm trying to branch out to new things, like I told you about the Cash Out Singapore situation, where I hope that through the new platform, I can get into selling properties online. Then that will be good revenue of commission coming in theory.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. I think you have a very, very unique journey. Not many people share your story.
Is it? I don't know. I just maybe because I drank a can of beer.
I don't think many private hire drivers have do what you do lah. Firstly, like you said, they don't document it. So even if they do, I also don't know about it lah.
Sure.
Yeah. So if somebody listen to our podcast, watch this podcast, and is quite keen to connect with you, or maybe invest in your business, or maybe just want to follow you online, where can they actually find you online?
Well, Ubergrapher has been around for a long time, so it's quite easy. Just Ubergrapher. I combined Uber last time, the app, and also photography as a word, and I managed to find the the domain still available. So I just kept using the name Ubergrapher. I'm on Instagram mainly, but I also got YouTube. I also have TikTok and Facebook. Yes. But now I got a new venture that I tried to mention to you just now. It's called Cash Out Singapore.
Yep.
And the website address is cashout.com.sg.
Nice. Thank you for sharing, Maverick.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
No problem.
And we will see you next time on the One Day at a Time podcast.
Thank
Peace.
you. Thank you.